Next time you go to a restaurant, look around. Could you figure out which couples are there dating and which ones are married? And the answer, I assume you may know, is very simple. The ones that are actually looking at each other and present in the restaurant and focus on the conversation are usually the couples that just met. The ones that are on the phone and responding to email and text messages and involved with everything else, besides looking at each other, are people that are already married a long time. Even you see a group of young adults, they're getting together, but they're all on the phone talking to other people, they're not present in the moment. You see, my dear friends, there are two kinds of times. There's real time and in-between time. Real time is marriage, real time is your career, real time is your relationships, your family. What's the in-between time? The in-between time is when you go to the doctor's office and you come an hour early. The in-between times you come to the airport, the plane is not taking off for another hour. The in-between time is in traffic and all these other places that we're waiting for the next things. The in-between time is when I'm in a job that I don't really like and I'm waiting to get a new job. But here's the catch. Do you know all of our time, all of our life, to be exact, is in between time? Why? When you're a young adult, you say, oh, when is life going to begin? Once I finish school. When I get out of high school. You get out of high school, you say, when is life going to begin? When I get my degree. You get your degree, you say, oh, when is life going to begin? When I get married. When you get married, they tell you, oh, you didn't begin life. When does life really begin? Once you have children. When you have children, you say, oh, this is not a life. When the kids move out of the house, that's when life begins. And so on and so forth. And before you know it, you're an old, as we say, we're grumpy old men. That's how we become. And then, every stage of life, there's also something that's incomplete. Oh, my pool still has a leak. If only I could get a new car. You're incomplete. You still have to deal with your company. You're moving. You have to update your software. You have to get new computers. There's always something that's missing. Something that you're still incomplete. Right now, you think about what else do you need to do? Oh, the back of the house, we still got to take care of the landscaping. There's always something, right? So either we have a back pain or a stomach pain. We are always either overweight or underpaid. So my question is, if every stage of life we're preparing for the next stage, if every stage is something missing, oh, if only we could just take care of this thing, then when do we stop and say, okay, now I'm really living. Now I can smell the roses. Now is when life is really all about. It's not the in-between of everything. So the question is, when do we stop the preparation for living and having life itself? And that's something that many of us struggle with it. You see, one of the things that's important is to have hatzlacha b'zman, success in time. See, my dear friends, we cannot make our days longer, nor can we add additional hours to our nights. But we can maximize our usage of time by regarding each segment of a time as a world of its own. When we devote a portion of our time, whether it's an hour, a day, or a minute, to a certain task, we should be totally invested in what we're doing as if there exists nothing else in the world. Now, obviously, there are important things in life and there's lesser important things, between means and ends, between journeys and destinations. But whenever you're involved, you are fully there. You're never just getting it done or getting it over with. When you're on the way to something, you're fully invested in being on the way to something. Now, how do you know that you should really be completely invested in it? So it's interesting, in this week's Torah portion, it talks about the Jews traveling in the desert. And when the Jews travel in the desert, they had with them, they traveled 40 years. And what do you mean they traveled? They traveled with a tabernacle, and it says how they know when to leave and when to go to the next stop. There was a cloud of God above them. And when the cloud would leave, they would go. And when the cloud would stop, they would stop. And how long would they stop? One place they stopped for 19 years, and sometimes they would stop just for one day. But this is the key. When they stop, they had to set up the whole camp. All the tents, the Mishkan and everything. You may wonder why, just for one day? And why? Why is it sometimes stopping for one day and sometimes stopping for a year or for 19 years? Maybe God wants to teach us that you may think to yourself, okay, it's just one day, let's not unpack. We don't have to build a tabernacle. And God is teaching us something very different. God is teaching us that when you're on a mission from God, when you're fulfilling your purpose in life, when you're doing something that's divine, when you're doing something that's what really our life is about, every day is important, and every day you have to do to 100%. See, when you're involved in something, knowing that this is God's will from you today, that this thing you're involved in contains within it the value, depth, and importance of permanence. True, your involvement may only last for 1 year, 1 month, or perhaps 1 day or hour. Nonetheless, doing this thing is not just a nuisance, oivei, have 1 day, you need to get over with it. If it's a divine instruction, then doing this has absolute value and significance. So from Torah's perspective, there's no such thing as real time and in-between time. There's only one kind of time. There are long journeys and short journeys. There are large jobs and small jobs. There are obvious opportunities and situations which we scratch our heads and wonder, why are we here? But all the time is real. Every moment is crucial. Every segment of our lives, no matter how fleeting or temporary, has a center, a purpose, an objective. It is what God wants from me now at this moment. Hence, it's not only an obstacle to get over with, but possesses meaning and magic all of its own. And this is something that we learned in the desert. They knew that there's nothing like passing through, the Jews in the desert, or killing time. At a particular juncture in their journey, every encampment, no matter how short or temporary, was to have its center, its focus, its objective, its own distinct mission, opportunity, and message. It was as valuable as a lifetime of work. We are not here to go through life. The Torah is telling us we're here to live it, every moment of it fully. So wherever I am, I must be fully present. If God put me through this encounter now, I need to treat it as a permanent and common essential part of my life's mission. Same with traffic delays, appointment delays, chance meetings, and so forth. Every moment has a purpose and a mission, and something I need to accomplish. The time to be happy is now. Yes, we're always on a journey. The destination forever eludes us. There's always something to be anxious about, another terrain to conquer, another $1 million to make, or at least another $1,000 to make, another dilemma to solve. But the very journey is also a destination. The very process is indispensable to our calling and our mission in this world. So let's be happy today. Let's live our mission and our time to its utmost. When we're sitting and meeting someone in a restaurant or coffee, let's not look at our phone to be somewhere else. Let's be at this moment, at this present moment right now. Then every day will be a living day. Shabbat Shalom.